Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam, everyone. This is our daily study of the yoga teachings of ancient India. Generally, we don't get the yoga teachings so often. You get them, in a teacher training course. You study the Yoga Sutras for 3 hours. But to really imbibe the teachings of ancient India, you got to put some time in. You got to live in an ashram, or you got to just get focused on hearing truth. See, the idea of Vedic thought, it's not we're teaching a different religious path according to another religious path. The idea is there's truth and there's illusion. And by hearing truth on a regular basis, it starts to train us how to think. It starts to assist us. If our car, and maybe some of you can relate to this, you got a car that keeps dragging to one side or maybe crossing the double line or going off the cliff sometimes. Sometimes our lives have been a series of driving off of a cliff. We need to hear truth on a regular basis, and it catches us, even if we have the inclination to cross that double line or fly off a cliff. And so we come together every morning, 5 a.m., Monday through Friday, and we read together. And the weekends we read, and there's no break. There's no vacation. Have you noticed that, Kaustubha? You don't get but Mara, isn't that interesting? We don't get a vacation. You don't stop. It's like you don't want a day off from the Bhagavatam. Who would want that? And every time we do, for some reason, have to take a break, we're all feeling like, oh, my day is so awkward. You all right? All right? Come on, Kaustubha.
I'm with you. Although we're taking Saturday off, but still we're not taking off, right? You'll be doing even more on Saturday.
I'm doing even more on Saturday. I'm teaching. There's a yoga festival, the Eckhart Yoga Festival in Germany, in Netherlands. Saturday. And then, I'm doing that Saturday.
Both.
And then I'm doing both. I'm doing 2 festivals. And really? only by the mercy of Corona virus can you do things like that, because I'm doing them online.
Okay, so let people know about that. At least let people know about both of them. Why don't you go ahead and put that out there?
Yeah. Well, the one I'm hosting with Raghunath Swami is, of course, I'm leaning towards that one. But I'm doing that with Raghunath Swami this Saturday. So if you haven't checked that out, go to the Bhakti Center website.
It's a full day thing, right?
A full day of of great teachers. I'm not saying because I'm the great teacher, but the people I'm doing it with are great. Raghunath Swami, Yogi Charu, Janavi, Jai Giridhari. These are all people that I really look up to and respect.
Is that called the one-day yoga retreat at the Bhakti Center? Is that what
if you just go to bhakticenter.org, it comes right up on the page. It's the first thing you click on.
Okay.
I hope to see you there.
And the other?
And the other is the Eckhart Yoga Festival it comes from Holland, but I'm just teaching a yoga class there, but it's like a weekend of yoga.
Eckhart?
Eckhart. Ekhart.
Eckhart. One heart.
Eckhart. I never thought of it like that. Did you read this nice email from Devaki Nandana? Hari Bol Prabhu, if you'd like to... No, that was... I just read Mayor's reply. He said, my name is Devaki Nandan. I'm from Chennai, and I have recently started listening to the Raghunath and Kaustubha's podcast, and I find it very interesting. I'm a Sri Vaishnava, so that's a different lineage of
beautiful lineage.
Yeah, beautiful lineage, different lineage, but there's many different paths to understand Vishnu, and I'm not entirely convinced of the Bhakti Marg. Marg means like a path, the Bhakti path. This is an attempt to test and change those beliefs. I hope to join this online Sangha and share my trials and tribulations in the process, learn and find further orientation towards spirituality. Isn't that a nice letter?
David Kinundan?
David, I think he's on the show today. Welcome, David
Well,
Kinundan.
beautiful. The Bhakti Marg is the path of the Sri Vaishnavas.
Yeah,
So,
I think he. I don't know, but he could write in the chat. He's on the show. He can write in the chat board. First, I want to say welcome,
yeah, welcome.
because sometimes people grow up with this path as their spiritual path. A lot of us didn't grow up. We just heard about it. It was attractive. We had a bad experience in spirituality, or we weren't spiritual. Our parents were agnostics or communists or something, or we had something touched us in spirituality, but it never fully got it. And we drifted towards Eastern culture, and we found so many answers. So some people grow up with it, but they haven't they haven't met somebody, or there was no turning point that made them yes, or it wasn't relevant. Maybe it was rituals, but it wasn't relevant.
Sometimes it's almost like, my grandmother's there doing her little puja, ringing the bell, but
it's very
how that becomes important in one's life isn't always revealed.
Right. It just seems like, well, my grandmother does these rituals. It's cute. I like it when she does it. It makes me feel good. But what? But the Bhakti Marg, it's good to say, the Bhakti Marg is a path of love and devotion and connection to your higher power. And then seeing everybody that you meet and every living being as part of divinity. And therefore, they also deserve a type of respect and love. And I found in my life, to the degree that I can see people, as soon as I meet them, this person's a pure spirit soul. And you walk into a room, this person's a spirit soul. A person comes to my class, this person's a pure spirit soul.
You just try to take that for granted, see through those eyes right off the bat.
Right off the bat. If that is the lens that we wear, it makes life so special. And also, it means whatever people are going through, and people go through their stuff, and they have their filters and they act sometimes completely insane. If I can see them, keep seeing them as what they actually are, it becomes very powerful. It becomes very transformative, and not get caught up in their particular karma of their mind and body. It actually assists to transform you, and it transforms them. Just like if you've ever had a person who really sort of believes in you and sees your highest potential, it makes you want to sort of rise up and become that. So welcome aboard.
Well, that lineage, the Sri Vaishnavas, it's all based on the teachings of the great sage Ramanujacharya. And just absolutely beautiful writings and beautiful stories from that tradition. Beautiful styles of worship, It's incredibly beautiful, rich tradition. In Srila Prabhupada's commentaries, he was also taking in, Ramanuja's commentaries and all of that. So it's all kind of partly here,
Should we tell a Ramanuj story tomorrow?
We could. Well, tomorrow's question and answer day. We won't have time.
Oh yeah, we're moving question and answer day to tomorrow. So we're always excited, but we're doing it at 5 a.m. So usually we get to sleep in on question and answer day. You don't get to sleep in tomorrow. I had a tough time waking up today. I woke up at 3:45, but it was a double snoozer. You know what that is? When you hit snooze once and then you hit it again. I call that a double snoozer.
Well, let's just get right into the Bhagavatam. Wake you up.
All right. Om Rayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 15, text. We're sort of text 14 and 15.
Yeah, like we never finished that story. Why don't we wrap it up though?
Yeah, it's okay. It's a good story. Kaustubha was reading from the Mahabharata when we last left off, correct?
Yeah, yesterday. It was here it's mentioned that only by Arjuna's telling his brother Yudhishthira that it was only by Krishna's grace that I was able to regain the cows and also collect by force many helmets of the kings which were bedecked with jewels that were sources of all brilliance. So, Arjuna coming out of disguise enters the battlefield, kind of reveals himself for who he is for the first time after a year, and stands and single-handedly faces not only Duryodhana, but like Duryodhana and Karna and Drona and Bhishma and Ashwatthama, as well as like a whole army. And with his, his
it's like a
his
massive army of like superheroes, and he's like a little puny kid with Arjuna.
And one after another, they come up and they speak their bold words, and one after another, he sends them back, and he's not only defeating his gurus, Drona and Bhishma, but they're pleased with him, and their love for him is increasing in their heart to finally see him after so long. At the same time, they're fighting with all their strength against him, and he's sending them back, and one after another, he defeats them all, and then heads back to the kingdom of Virat, where it's then shortly thereafter revealed that they're each revealed for who they are, each of the Pandavas.
It's such a dramatic scene when Yudhishthira, he comes back, and Yudhishthira has taken the throne. He's taken Virat's throne. Yudhishthira shows like, I'm actually the emperor. Yeah. And Virat got very angry at him. You know that's part of the story where he throws the dice at him, or he throws something at Yudhishthira's head.
What happened was, after Arjuna revealed himself to those warriors on the other side, he said to, I'm forgetting his name now, but the son of the king, that Uttara Kumara, that don't reveal who we are yet, because I just want Yudhishthira to be able to choose the moment. So when the son of the king got back, everyone thought that he's the one that defeated that whole army, and his father's going off, you are glorious, you're this, you're that. And he said, actually, it wasn't me. It was a celestial being that just fought them all off, and I just witnessed it. Then the next morning, Yudhishthira takes the throne, and each of his brothers are sitting on the throne, and the king walks in and is like, what are you doing sitting in that seat? And then Arjuna gets up and praises Yudhishthira and says, can't you recognize who this is? And he begins to sing the glories of Yudhishthira. And then that King Virat's record, of course, how could I have not recognized it before? It's so moving. The whole thing is so full of heart-wrenching, beautiful stories and teachings, and it feels so good that the Pandavas come out of disguise and now they're back, and that Duryodhana you can see that what he's taken is going to slip away now, You there, Raghu?
I am. I got a cat that's I got a cat that's losing his mind out here, so I had to mute. Okay.
I was thinking of quizzing you, putting you on the hot seat, Raghunath.
I'll take some hot seat. Come on, bring it on.
You sure?
No, but try me.
Let me see if I can find it. There was a scene when his name was Bhumanjai, the king's son, and Arjuna's still in disguise. But then he says, no, we can fight them, and he says, drive over to that tree where Arjuna and the Pandavas had hidden their weapons.
The Sami tree?
The Sami tree, yes, but that's not the question I was going to ask you.
Okay.
So Bhumanjai brings down the bundle that was up in the tree, and it's all these weapons, these celestial weapons. And he's like, who do these belong to? And he's like, these are the weapons of the Pandavas, and I am Arjuna. So at that point, and I'm trying to find it here. I want to make sure that I can find it. That he says, well, how am I to know that you are Arjuna? Right. And so he says, Arjuna has 10 names. Tell me the 10 names of Arjuna, and then I'll believe that it's actually you. So that's
10 names of Arjuna.
So do you know the 10 names of Arjuna?
All right, here's some. Ready?
The meaning?
Dhananjay, the conqueror of wealth.
Okay.
Before the Rajasuya sacrifice, he had to conquer all the wealth around India.
Excellent.
Gudike, she's the master of sleep. He doesn't need sleep.
It's not mentioned here.
Well, that's one of his names.
Well,
Sabyasachi. Sabyasachi.
Okay,
he's ambidextrous. He can fight with either hands.
Yeah.
He is Konteya, the son of Kunti. Does that count? Oh, come on. That's one of his names also.
You got 2.
I got 2 out of 10. That's pretty bad. Give me a hint.
One of them's real easy. It's like blatantly
Arjuna.
Obvious.
Arjuna.
That's it. You just said it. Arjuna. What does Arjuna mean?
It means he's whitish.
Yeah.
Like an Arjuna tree.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not bad. Mara, help me out. Come on. Haven't I taught you anything?
Partha or son of Partha, isn't that one of them?
Prita, son of Partha.
Nope. Are you ready?
I'm trying to think of the Bhagavad Gita.
One has to do with when he was born.
Devaki says Jishnu.
Jishnu is one of them.
Ooh, Jishnu. Thank you, Devaki, for that one.
That's 4.
Sophie Georgiou says Krishna.
Yes.
What?
5. Yes.
I'm getting punked.
What about the constellation under which he was born?
Oh, yes. What was that? Falgun.
Yes, 6.
Yeah.
One has to do with the color of his horses.
Oh, Sveta.
Yeah.
Sveta?
Yeah, well, what do you call the vehicle that you drive?
Sveta Rath.
Sveta Vahana.
Sveta Vahana. Okay.
Okay, that's 7. He's never defeated in battle.
Oh, what's that one called? We're struggling here. Come on, write him.
Victory.
Ajay. Thanks, Aravind.
Not quite.
No, Jai.
Vijay.
There you go.
Okay, pretty good. Help me out, people.
Where's Paramananda?
He's dreadful to behold in battle. Therefore, he is called.
He's dreadful to behold in battle.
Bibatsu.
This is real, actual trivia. We should make a board game. I'm dead serious. I've been wanting to make a board game my entire life.
Okay, I'm going to read them all to you. Ready?
Yeah.
So he's asked. Arjuna then revealed to the prince's identity and that of all his brothers. The prince looked at him in astonishment. He had never suspected it, but now it seemed obvious. The mighty Vallabha could well be Bhima, and Kanka always had a certain nobility and bearing which outshone the other courtiers. Surely he could be Yudhishthira. But the prince still needed to be convinced. He asked Arjuna, I shall believe your words if you can tell me Arjuna's 10 names, which I have heard before. Arjuna replied, because I conquered many countries and collected their wealth, I'm called
Dhananjay.
I never return from battle without defeating my enemy, and thus I am called. Come on, Vijaya.
Okay.
Yeah. My steeds are white, so they call me
Sveta Vahan.
I was born when the constellation Uttara Falguna was in the ascendant. Therefore, I am Falguni. Because I wear the brilliant diadem given to me by Indra, I am called Kiriti.
Oh, Kirti. We missed that one. Kirti.
I am dreadful to behold in battle, and so men call me
I forgot that one.
Bibatsu. I am named Sabyasachi because I can draw the bow with either hand. Being unapproachable and irrepressible, I am known as Jishnu. Arjuna is my name because I always perform white deeds of great purity. My father, out of affection for a black-complexioned boy, called me Krishna. These are my 10 names, O prince. There you go.
I like Sabyasachi. Sort of sounds a little Italian.
Sabyasachi, ciao. Okay. You ready?
David Kinanda has got some. Gandhi. Did they say Gudakesh? Did I miss that?
No,
one?
there's no Gudakesh
Oh,
there.
all right. I didn't get that one.
That's
either.
in the Gita, but it's not mentioned here.
Yeah.
One of those 10.
Gandivi.
Oh, yeah.
David Kinanda is all right. He's in here this morning. He's adding some stuff.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
So let's read. So now we're on chapter, Canto 1.
Chapter 15, text.
I think we're text 15 now.
Yeah. It was he only. He's talking about Krishna. Arjuna's speaking about Krishna in a very sad way. He's lamenting. It was he only who withdrew the duration of life from everyone and who, in the battlefield, withdrew the speculative power and the strength of enthusiasm from the great military phalanx made by the Kauravas, headed by Bhishma, Karna, Drona, and Shalya. Their arrangement was expert and more than adequate, but he, Lord Sri Krishna, while going forward, did all of this. So what did he do? He withdrew the duration of life from everyone.
The strength of enthusiasm.
He withdrew their speculative power, their intelligence, I guess, and their strength of enthusiasm. Yeah.
They're confused out there.
Before my bhakti, my entrance into the bhakti world, I'd say it's safe to say I've never ever used the word phalanx. It seems like I use it at least once a day now. Oh yeah, you arrange your phalanx. It's a bhakti word.
Sent you to military school.
Yeah, a phalanx. Yeah, my vocabulary has definitely increased since bhakti. It's entered my life. Okay. 16, text 16.
Mm-hmm.
Great generals like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Bhurishrava, Shusharma, Shalya, Jayadratha, and Balika all directed their invincible weapons against me. But by his, Lord Krishna's grace, they could not even touch a hair on my head. Similarly, now he's going to reference an ancient story, which happens to be in the Bhagavatam. Similarly, Prahlad, the supreme devotee of Lord Nrsingadev, that's the lion avatar of Vishnu, was unaffected by the weapons of the demons used against him. I find it incredible, Kaustubh, that even Arjuna is referencing the Puranas. He's referencing these ancient stories. Like, these ancient stories are so ancient that they were told by the ancient people. Is that crazy?
Yeah, well, there's those people, like, relatively, Arjuna's not at all ancient to us compared to Prahlad, right? It's like...
Right. Like, Arjuna's approximately 5,000 years ago, Arjuna walked the earth, but he's telling stories of a person that lived. They had these stories already. They had these places of pilgrimage already.
Yeah. Hundreds of
I still find that fascinating.
Okay.
You know, you go to places like, where we go on pilgrimage today, Pushkar.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, Pushkar was famous because, Yudhisthira went to Pushkar. But also, millennia before, Vishwamitra went to Pushkar. Prahlad went to Pushkar. So it's like these places are holy places for modern day saints,
Even you go to Mumbai, you go to that, there's that that kund there, that pond there, that Ram went to, right?
Svetangunga?
Svetangunga, is that, yeah.
Svetangunga. No, it's not Svetangunga. There is like a manifestation of the Ganga in Mumbai. I can't remember what it's called.
That Ram visited.
Yeah, something like that. So I never went. But there's old ancient temples. But there's some that are just so old. They were holy spots even when these great personalities, these avatars, etc.
5,000 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Well, here, Prahlad, and we'll read that in the 7th canto about Prahlad, one of the most important passages in the Bhagavatam, And But Prahlad was just a little boy, you know. He was in one sense helpless, you know, except in his father was trying to kill him in all these different ways, but he was always protected. And so Arjuna, by saying, you know, Arjuna is not like a helpless little boy. Arjuna is like a super powerful warrior. But he's saying it was just like Prahlad. You know, all of these generals could have killed me so many times over. But like Prahlad, he always protected me. Sweet, right?
Yeah, it's very sweet. Like, it's interesting to think Arjuna grew up hearing the stories about Prahlad.
Yeah.
Like his childhood stories. What yuga was Prahlad in? Someone asked. Kaustubha, do you know that?
I don't know. I would think there's such a yuga, but to be honest, I'm not sure. Way back. I could be totally wrong with that.
Okay. Text 17. It was by his mercy, Krishna, only that my enemies neglected to kill me when I descended from my chariot to get water for my thirsty horses. And it was due to my lack of esteem for the Lord that I dared engage him as my chariot driver. Due to my lack of esteem for the Lord? What does that mean?
Because he had that level of friendship.
Acha.
You see, what's happening is that he's going between these two moods here, from, you know, the mood of friendship to the mood of the servant, right? In the mood of friendship, he has to kind of forget that he's God. But in the mood of a servant, he's being reminded. And so right now, he's coming across with this different bhav, this different mood. And
For
so
he is worshipped.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to finish this. For he is worshipped and offered services by the best men to attain salvation. Okay. Yeah. So he's going back. He's my friend, and he's my Lord.
When was he? It mentions this, that he, when he descended, he was protected when he descended from his chariot to get water for his thirsty horses. When was that?
Are you trying to stump me again?
Hot seat.
You got old, Raghu.
It's one of my favorite stories.
Tell me.
You don't know?
I don't know it.
Well, you know, what happened was, we were telling the story about how Arjuna fought them all off, came back to the kingdom. They revealed that they're the Pandavas. And at that time, the King Virat said, let me give you my daughter, you know, like to be your wife, you know. And Arjuna said, I'll accept her, you know, as my daughter-in-law. She can marry my son Abhimanyu. Now, Abhimanyu was young. He was like about 16 years old at this time. And Abhimanyu fought in the Battle of Kurukshetra there shortly thereafter and fought heroically. But what happened was that one day, Arjuna had to go off to this whole other area of the battlefield and was fighting, you know, single-handedly fighting, you know, massive numbers of warriors. Meanwhile, you know, Yudhishthira had promised Arjuna that he would protect his son, you know, Abhimanyu. So what happened was the enemy army created a phalanx.
Phalanx?
Phalanx, a military arrangement that was called the Chakra Vyuha.
Oh yeah.
The form of a wheel.
This is a sad story.
Yeah, and so Yudhishthira is like, we don't know, you know, Arjuna's on the other side. He's the only person that knows how to deal with this. And what are we going to do? Then Abhimanyu, the young warrior, steps up and says, my father has taught me how to penetrate this, you know, how to break into it. But the problem is I don't know how to get out of it. You know, I know how to get in.
I'm just going to ask a general question here. Does everybody know what a phalanx is?
I just said it's a military formation.
I know. So you have to arrange your army in these different.
They had all different kind of forms that they would take.
Yeah.
Right? So this is called the Chakra Vyuha, the wheel phalanx, the wheel kind of formation.
The wheel phalanx.
Are you listening to me, or are you just reading the chat board, Raghunath? I need to know.
I'm not. I'm looking right at you. You don't even believe me anymore.
I don't believe you because you're looking off to the side.
No, that's just the way the thing is. Your face is over there. On my computer, your face is far to the right.
Okay.
So it looks like I'm looking off. I'm looking right at your little cube, sir.
All right. Okay. So what happened? He says, I can get in, I can't get out. Yudhishthira says, that's okay. Because if you can break into this phalanx, we will follow you in and then we'll just shatter it from within. So you don't have to worry about getting out. We're going to come in right behind you. He says, okay. But now there's another backstory that years previous, Jayadratha, this other super powerful warrior, he tried to kidnap Draupadi. Arjuna captured him and just kind of humiliated him, sent him off. And, I think he cut off half his mustache and did, how dare you, and like that. So he went and he started to perform severe austerities so that he could kill all the Pandavas, right? Like really severe austerities. And Lord Shiva appeared to him and said, what boon is it that you're seeking? I want to kill all the Pandavas. He says, I cannot grant you that. He says, well, then I want to kill Arjuna. I think he said, I can't grant you that. He says, what I can grant you is that you can defeat all the Pandavas except Arjuna one time. So defeat them doesn't mean to kill them, but it means to be able to fight them off in battle. So when Abhimanyu broke into that Chakravyuha, what happened was he was just creating havoc in there, right?
Yeah.
He was fighting with such heroism that it was like stunning everyone. It was like a second Arjuna. It was just blowing everyone's mind. It was just like, it was creating a situation where that army was going to fall apart if something wasn't done immediately. And so they all ganged up on him. They had all these codes of fighting, right? All of these, warrior codes. And it should have been that a one fighter fights as equal, right? Like if someone's a super powerful warrior, they don't fight like a lower level warrior. They'll fight someone on their level.
No poking in the eyes, no small joint manipulation.
And so all of those, 5 or 6 of the most powerful warriors all fought the 16-year-old boy because he was just out of control. Now Yudhishthir's trying to break in there. But that Jayadratha, because he has that boon, is able to fight off all the other 4 Pandavas. And Arjuna's on the other end of the battlefield, so he's not there. And all of those warriors ganged up and they killed Abhimanyu.
Young Abhimanyu.
And it was considered just a disgrace, that they should have stepped up one at a time to fight him. But they all ganged up on him. And even still, he was heroic and fighting all of them. So that became a great disgrace to that army. And what happened was when Arjuna comes back to the battlefield that evening, he can sense all the inauspicious omens. And he comes before Yudhishthira and he says, what is going on? Every day I return and the first person that I see is my son Abhimanyu comes out to greet me and ask me how it went. But I'm not seeing him. And I'm seeing
everybody's
this, and
sad. No one will look in his eyes.
He said, nobody will look in my eye. So tell me what has happened. And then Yudhishthira, just crying, has to tell him that, I promised to protect your son and I failed. And your son was killed today. He was killed by all this. And the way that it happened was somehow Jayadratha had some boon and he was able to fight us all off. So then Arjuna takes a vow, right? He says, what was the vow?
Before sunrise, or before sunset tomorrow, I will kill Jayadratha.
Yeah. Or
I will take my life.
Yeah, he says, tomorrow before the sun sets, either I will kill Jayadratha or I will enter into the fire and take my own life. Right?
Enter into the fire.
And the word of this spreads.
There's a lot of that going on, entering into fire.
Well, the word of that spread to the other army. And when Duryodhana heard it, he was like, oh, this is great news. All we have to do tomorrow is protect one warrior. And if we can do that, Arjuna will take his own life. He'll never break his vow. And when Arjuna takes his own life, the entire Pandava army is just going to lose heart and we will have won. Right? And so now he set up his army. So Jayadratha is in the back, right? And there's all these massive obstacles to cross, whole armies to fight. And then, and at the end, all the most powerful warriors are protecting Jayadratha. And so now it's, again, just like we talked about that Kundava forest and how 2 friends go through something together. Mm-hmm. Well, Krishna has to drive Arjuna's chariot and spend an entire day just trying to get to this, crossing over obstacle after obstacle. Sometimes Krishna's saying, forget about them now. We need to go over here now. Otherwise we'll waste too much time, fighting all of these people. Krishna is instructing him step by step how he's going to accomplish this goal. And it's exhausting, you know. And at one point, you know, the horses are exhausted. And Arjuna has to step down from the chariot, and he fires an arrow into the ground to find water, you know. And Krishna personally removes the arrows from the horses and massages them and heals their wounds. It's a beautiful scene, you know.
Wow.
And so they take this break, and somehow, you know, Arjuna is protected in that moment by Krishna, and Krishna heals the horses. And then they prepare themselves for the last leg of that battle, which I will not reveal today because it's a whole story in itself. But I always see that as just a beautiful story about how all of that huge challenge is arranged by Krishna to increase the intimacy between him and Arjuna, you know, the intimacy of their love, which Arjuna is reflecting on now. You know, it's only because of him. Anyway, I love that story.
That is beautiful. I love the Mahabharata.
And so in the second sentence of this verse, he says, and it was due to my lack of esteem for the Lord.
Okay.
Because I saw him as my friend, that I dared engage him as my chariot driver, right? He's God. You know, the great sages are worshiping him, the best men, right? The greatest sages worship him to attain their salvation with great humility. And I was saying, hey, Krishna, you know, I was
go
just
to the left, go to the right.
Yeah, I'm ordering him around and all that. So he's going to go more into this subject now. Text 18.
Krishna in that position, it's so charming that here he is, the Devati Deva, the Lord of all the demigods, the Lord of all the sages, plays this loving, sweet role with his devotee, almost like, just like when a father to a son, to a little child plays like, okay, you want to take me? And then sometimes the little child will say, I want to take you for a walk. I want to show you this. And the father steps down from that, whatever that position is, and just plays whatever the child wants to play. Krishna has that very, very sweet relationships.
Yeah, I'll be your friend.
Bhaktas.
If you want to love me as a friend, we'll be the best of friends. If you want to love me as a lover, we'll be the best of lovers. If you want to love me with parental love, I'll be your child.
All right. I'll be your baby.
That's Raghunath. He's going to appear as a sweet baby Krishna.
O king, his jokings and frank talks were pleasing and beautifully decorated with smiles. His addresses unto me as, O son of Prita, O friend, O son of the Kuru dynasty. And all such heartiness are now remembered by me, and thus I am overwhelmed.
You know, when he says he's overwhelmed, these are not material emotions, but these are the deepest spiritual emotions that are written about in the text on Bhakti, right?
Yeah, it's not like when I get overwhelmed.
This isn't material illusion. This is like the deepest spiritual emotions. Text 19.
Continuing on. Excuse me. Text 19. Generally, both of us used to live together and sleep, sit, and loiter together. And at the time of advertising oneself for acts of chivalry, sometimes, if there were any irregularity, I used to reproach him by saying, my friend, you are very truthful. Even in those hours when his value was minimized, he, being the supreme soul, used to tolerate all those utterings of mine, excusing me exactly as a true friend excuses his true friend, or a father excuses his son.
You just said that.
Just said it.
Right. But you can imagine Arjuna here with tears in his eyes, crying, you know, at the loss of Krishna. And he's going over this in his mind. And he's saying, you know, like sometimes Krishna would say to me something like, you know, Arjuna, you're the greatest warrior. Something. And I would, in a joking way, kind of say, Krishna, you are very truthful.
Well, no, well, you know, it's so sweet though. It's just like such like a Vaishnav, a bhakti relationship. Like, you know, what he's saying is at the time of advertising oneself, like, hey, Kaustubha, man, I did that show this morning. I made that joke. It was really funny. And you were going, you know what, Raghu, you are really funny. Something like he agreed.
But it's actually the opposite here. It's that Krishna would say something about him, and he would say, "You're right. I am like that." You know, like he say, "My friend, you are very truthful."
Wait.
You understand?
At the time of advertising oneself for acts of chivalry,
but when
sometimes
he says,
if there were any irregularity, I used to reproach him by saying, "Oh, my friend," what he was saying sarcastically?
No. He's saying that Krishna would glorify Arjuna. And rather than respond by saying, "Oh, Krishna, I am nothing. Everything that I have is because of you. You are God. I am just a small, insignificant living entity."
Right.
Instead of doing that, he would say, "You are speaking the truth, Krishna." Because they were friends. They had that kind of very intimate relation. He wouldn't say that,
right?
In a public. He would respond in a formal way, but because their relationship was so intimate, he would joke that way with him and say,
Would you like to be friends with Krishna?
Yeah. And so now that he allowed me that intimacy when he's God himself, that's what's churning in Arjuna's heart right now. In the commentary, Prabhupada says, since the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is all perfect, his transcendental pastimes with his pure devotees never lack anything in any respect, either as friend, son, or lover. The Lord relishes the reproaches of his friends, right? In other words, it gave Krishna greater happiness that Arjuna would say, that's so true what you're saying, Krishna, rather than Arjuna taking that formal approach and saying, no, Krishna wants to have that friendship. And Arjuna had the right kind of love for him to enjoy that. So Krishna enjoys that more. Huh? Yeah, so it says, the Lord relishes the reproaches of friends, parents, or fiancés more than the Vedic hymns offered to him by great learned scholars and religionists in an official fashion.
So interesting, huh?
It's
so the interesting.
Key. Yeah, it's the key to the whole theology of bhakti, particularly of this type of, when we talk about Braja Bhakti, like the intimacy of the residents in Vrindavan, and that's ultimately what's revealed in the Bhagavatam. That what God really relishes the most is that intimate love. And when one enters into that, in order to enter into that intimate love, one has to kind of forget that he's God. And so it says that he enjoys that more than the Vedic hymns, right? More than the formal, beautiful, official kind of religion. He likes that deep, deep, intimate love. Even if he's being minimized, he actually enjoys it. Beautiful.
It is beautiful. How did I stumble upon this? I have no qualification whatsoever to stumble upon this.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
Me too.
Transformed my whole life, if you think about it. Ever think of, like, if I didn't go left and I went right, where would I be right now? Where would I be without bhakti in my life? Now I'm a 54-year-old man. Where would I be?
I don't know where you'd be, Raghunath.
I don't know.
It's kind of like we're given different conceptions of God, and a lot of times they're so unappealing, right? Like the fear-based version.
Fear-based is like
the super formal version.
So
I remember being given Christian tracts of, not that it's found anywhere in the Bible, but it would be like, there'd be God. He almost looked like Abraham Lincoln sitting up like on this, like he's huge, like kind of sitting on this
That's
throne.
how I pictured God, actually.
Right? And then they're like the masses, and they're like all tiny, Yeah. And what kind of relationship is that, But here it's revealed that no, you can that what God doesn't relish being this huge figure just looking down on the masses. God relishes that most intimate love, and he will actually become insignificant, because that's how love is shared. And God is all about love. Now there's a theology that, that's actually quite appealing, and begins to, all the pieces begin to fit together, like the nature of what we're doing in this world, and the nature of how we're searching for love, and then how that highest love would ultimately be revealed. So if like you, I feel like somehow, I came across this, somehow it came across me, and it's a life changer, it's a game changer.
Especially a bunch of us were just from the punk hardcore scene. Just a bunch of punks. Yeah. We had no training. It's not like we studied the Bhagavad Gita as children, but then we went our own way. No, we just did everything wrong from the get-go. and then we got some special mercy. And
you know, they say that so Krishna, not only does he want to take, not only does he want to take like that subservient position with his devotee, like here with Arjuna, he's praising Arjuna, and Arjuna saying, oh, you're right, Krishna, you know, and he would rather Arjuna say that than Arjuna snap into the formal reverence. But what Krishna recognizes is that actually the one that holds love for God is experiencing something even deeper than what God feeling that love. So he sees what Radha is experiencing is even deeper than what I'm experiencing. To hold love for God in the heart is the deepest experience. I want to know what that's like. He comes as Sri Caitanya. Krishna comes in the mood of Radha, in the mood of a bhakta. And it's said, and this is the mystery that's getting to what you're saying, it's said, and in that form, he gives the very highest thing, the intimate love of the residents of Vrindavan, to the lowest people, and that would be us, right? He gives the highest, and therefore he's known as the most merciful manifestation of God, because he's given that most intimate, highest thing, and he's given it away freely. All you have to do is accept it. Just chant this name, sing, dance, take prasad, and you can experience the deepest, the most complete revelation of divine love. There's no logical, real way to understand it. It's just some special mercy because God wants to be merciful.
Incredible. Yeah. Do you have any desire to know what you were in your last life?
Do I have any desire? Yeah, I don't think about it at all. No.
Never, huh? Mara?
No.
Is that just me? Am I the only person who's interested in stuff like that?
Why did you even ask that question?
Well, because I'm thinking, well, maybe you, Kaustubha, appeared as some punk kid, but actually you were like St. Francis of Assisi or something, and all of a sudden you had to take one more birth.
That definitely was. But you know, it's interesting. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada's disciples would ask some questions about this, and sometimes there's teachings in Prabhupada's books. Like there's some teachings that say you don't come to this path without having practiced it previously on some level in your previous life, right? But sometimes, like one time, like disciples of Prabhupada said, you know, what was I think he said, how did we get the good fortune to come to this? And Prabhupada said, I was your good fortune, right? In a sense, like it's just Chaitanya's mercy that came through, you know, meeting a devotee. You don't have, in other words, at that point he was like kind of emphasizing, don't think that you've earned this in any way.
Right. Well, it's one of those things. What was I in my last life? It's a huge part of your ego because you're thinking, well, you know, I'm reasonably spiritual now. I must have been pretty spiritual in my last life. But when we accept that vantage point, it's pushing away all the people who have given you so much mercy, kindness, and love in this life. You're trying to disqualify them, and you're trying to take all the credit for your spiritual evolution from your previous life. It's actually by the mercy of great souls who have entered our life, have dealt with us, have tolerated us, have been compassionate to us, have spoon-fed us little drops of bhakti.
You know, one thing that always impressed me is my wife's guru, Niranjana Swami.
Oh, he's impressive.
Just some great soul. And so, you know, he serves as a guru, right? For him, it's not like I want to be this big guru. Like that's what you, and
that's,
you know,
what you
that's
see
the,
so much.
That's anyway, let's not get into that whole topic. Okay. But people don't understand. One becomes a guru. It's a service I do. I don't want to take that role, you know. But so many are insisting that I take that role to serve others, to serve God by serving others. Okay, I'll accept that role. And then it's natural for the disciple to express their appreciation for the guru with all kind of praise, particularly like, you know, it's done formally on the birthday of that guru, right? And like in a ceremony. And what I saw him say to his disciples, because some of them were like trying to praise him with the same kind of words that you find in the Vedic literature. So they're saying, you know, you came to deliver us and all of that kind of stuff. And he would say, you know, I don't want to hear that kind of thing from my disciples about me, because when that's said, what it does is it negates what my guru did for me. That Prabhupada came here and he delivered someone that had no qualification. right? I didn't descend to this world to deliver the fallen soul. I was a fallen soul that was delivered by the mercy of my guru. So, you know, to always have that kind of understanding, that humility, you know, that what was I in my last life? I don't know, but I assume that, you know, it was I was a person that was lost, you know, whatever it was a person that was lost.
Is so relevant in my life that, you know, we are, by the mercy of others, we have what we have. You know, I've always sort of been a leader, and I think a lot of people maybe listening today have like these leadership qualities. They've been a leader in their community, but without this little insight, that quality that can be a good thing just gets ensnared in types of illusion and arrogance. And to understand, like, anything you've got that you really love, it's been gifted to you by the love of another. And to keep that at the forefront of your mind is so powerful, because without that humility, our good qualities can be overshadowed by the ego so quickly. That's such a key feature, and I'm grateful for in this Bhakti tradition. Thank you.
Too.
Thank you for that. What do you think? What do you think?
No,
what do you think of that?
I think that you should, after this song is done, cue up the chemical reaction.
All right. Where is it again?
You WhatsApped
it to me?
I sent it to you on WhatsApp.
Chemical reaction. That's all he talks about.
Well, you know, I'll just tell everyone, if you want to wait around to this end of this song, there's a rap song coming out.
It's a rap song. Okay.
And you know, I found it on Facebook, but it was like these people, they call themselves the wisdom of the yogis. I was like, oh, these guys are biting our name. But then when I heard it, I said, this is so good.
You're trying to go for a lawsuit.
I was thinking lawsuit. But then when I heard the song, I was like, oh man, this is so good. Why aren't you playing this song?
Thanks everybody for joining us. Mara wrote me a secret message here. Privately, it says, do we have a guest lined up for Sunday yet? Maybe you want to announce it if you know one.
I think I do, but it's not 100%. Well, there's two possibilities. One is like a mind blower. We're not going to talk about that yet.
All right, let's not tell anybody.
Yeah, and the other one is amazing too. So it's going to be one of these two. I should know.
We like to keep people on the edge of their seat by living on the edge of our seat. Thanks everybody for joining us on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher and Spotify. Give us a 5-star review. It makes a big, big difference. And thanks to everybody joining us. And David Kinundan, welcome. Everybody joining us on Zoom every morning. It's so impressive.
Tomorrow's question and answer day.
Tomorrow's Q&A day. If you didn't get them in quick before Mara seals that vault of the questions for the week. And now it's our favorite time where we just sing and lip sync. Yeah, Don Cayley's waiting for Boy George. Me too. We need
Boy George.
It's not Boy George this week. Hey, I want to thank everybody for what day is it today? Wednesday?
Thursday.
Who's teaching today, Mara? Who's teaching yoga today?
Amanda from Revolution Yoga.
Oh, she's great. Amanda from Revolution Yoga in Long Island. Check her out today at 10 a.m. And if you live in Long Island, check out Revolution Yoga. Ready? Jamuna Jaya put together the entire schedule for our little Patreon party we have going on. If you want to join that village of workshops and yoga classes, you need not go anywhere else. Hang out with a bunch of like-minded people who want to upgrade the quality of their life. Join us at patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages. And also going off the charts, out of this world, transforming people's lives is our Bhakti 12 Steps Recovery. Come as you are with any issues you're going through, even if you're not, have some gross material addiction to anything, but you just appreciate a 12-step program. You can also join that on the patreon.com/wisdom of the sages program, because these guys are meeting and I've heard so many positive feedback on that. So what happens? Because they go to the Patreon page and then they find the 12-step groups.
Well, there's a 12-step thread on our Discord thing, which you get through joining Patreon. And then they'll give you the information to join those get-togethers. Right now, they're 10 minutes after our show on Saturday and Sunday. We'll put together some art and we got to get a website so it can kind of be up there permanently and people can find that info.
Coming together.